And thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your knowledge. It's really important for us. As I said before, you have a lot of fans here, so it's very emotional for us. And well, I can't say anything more, so you can start whenever you want.
Okay, muchas gracias. Unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish enough to do the Zoom in Spanish. I do understand most of what you say, but unfortunately we have to do this in English. And thank you for translating, Marta.
Okay, you're welcome.
So I will make like 2 or 3 sentences and then I stop so you can translate, okay? Otherwise it will be too long of a story. So I'm very, very excited to meet you all. Unfortunately, it's only by Zoom, but hopefully soon we will see each other in real life and back on the podium again, making real music with real musicians.
Vale, Marina intentará escribirlo, pero bueno, lo que nos ha dicho es que él también está muy emocionado de poder participar en esto, que obviamente pues no es... es un poco diferente a cuando sube a la tarima a dirigir a los músicos, pero bueno, no deja de ser una forma de conocernos también y bueno, para él también es una agradable tarde.
So in 12 days, on May 1st, I will be 44 years professional musician.
Dentro de 12 días, el 1 de mayo, él celebra como un aniversario particular que es que llevará dirigiendo ya como músico profesional 44 años.
Sí, 44, yeah. 44. So May 1st, 1977 was the first day of my professional career. It was the day that I started to play in the Amsterdam Police Band, the professional wind band in Amsterdam.
Ok, el 1 de mayo de 1997 él empezó su carrera profesional tocando en la banda de la policía de Ámsterdam.
Yes, that's where I started my career, on euphonium.
On, sorry?
Bombardino, euphonium.
Ah, ok,
Yeah.
con el bombardino.
That was my first, my main instrument is trombone. I've been a trombone player all my life, but my first job, I won the audition for euphonium, so.
Que él se dedica sobre todo al trombón, pero curiosamente su debut profesional fue precisamente con el bombardino.
Yeah. As a little boy, I started to play in a local banda on trumpet. The trumpet was my first instrument.
Su primer instrumento fue la trompeta, porque él empezó cuando era todavía más jovencito, siendo un niño, a tocar en una banda local, pero curiosamente empezó con la trompeta.
So I was 14 years old when I joined the band. And after 2 years, I switched to trombone.
Ok, empezó con los 14 años, lo que pasa es que estuvo 2 años tocando la trompeta, pero luego ya cambió al trombón.
And the reason was that we had like 8 or 9 trumpets in the band, but only 2 trombones. So my conductor asked me, Johan, we need 3 trombones, 1, 2, 3. So he said, would you like to switch to trombone? And I did, and I still enjoy that. I still enjoy that change.
Ok, su cambio fue por necesidad, porque en la banda habían bastantes trompetas, pero curiosamente solo habían 2 trombones y entonces el director le dijo que necesitaba a ver si podía pasarse al trombón y luego ya vio que le gustaba más y ya ha seguido con el trombón.
So then I joined a symphony orchestra, a youth symphony orchestra in The Hague. So I played in a band and also in an orchestra, symphony.
Okay.
For many years.
Él ha tocado también en orquestas sinfónicas, ha tocado en bandas, pero también en orquestas sinfónicas durante muchos años.
And then, moment. Ik zit in een Zoom, Ruud. Ik zit in een Zoom-gesprek. Ja, ik bel je later.
Wij zitten ook in een Zoom.
Oké.
Això ho ha dit en holandès, no ho puc traduir, perquè holandès no sé.
So I was not planning to be a professional musician or a composer, not at all. I was just an amateur musician enjoying playing music. And my first education after high school was to become a teacher, a school teacher for los niños.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had my 3 years of training, 1972 to 1975. I was studying to be a teacher.
Ok, no tenía pensado dedicarse profesionalmente a la música, no se preparaba en principio para eso, de hecho él había sido maestro de niños entre los años 1972 y 75, si no he apuntado mal, bueno, en cualquier caso fueron unos 3 años, pero bueno, el camino al final le ha llevado a ser finalmente sí profesional de la música.
So, no plans to become a professional player or a conductor or a composer, that all came later. Very crucial in my life was that I had to go into the army, which was in those days it was drafted. You had to go into the army. You know, it was not voluntary. But I was able to do an audition for the band. They have a small brass band in the military, and I'll show you what my instrument was. Moment.
Ok. Lo que fue crucial para él, para acabar dedicándose a la música, fue cuando entró en la banda de la Armada. El servicio militar era obligatorio, por tanto tenía que hacerlo, y allá había una pequeña brass band, y así fue como acabé eso.
So I joined the band, but they had no trombone opening, but they said, "Can you play tuba?" I said, "Yes, no problem." I've never played the tuba in my life, but of course I know how to play the valves, you know, for the trumpet, and the mouthpiece is a little bigger than trombone. So I said, I was bluffing. I said, "Oh yeah, I can play tuba, no problem." So then I got this old E flat, mi bemol tuba, and I played this for 2 years. But I also played trombone, I played the tenor horn, I played bass trombone, alto horn, all the low brass. So,
okay.
And then...
Bueno, ya es un echado para adelante, ya queda claro. Le dijeron que allí tenía que tocar pues la tuba, y como lleva pistones como la trompeta y la embocadura pues es más o menos la boquilla parecida, un poquito más grande que la del trombón, pues él dijo que sí y para adelante. De hecho nos explicaba ahora que no solo tocó la tuba en esta banda de la Armada, sino también el trombón y algún otro instrumento más, todo obviamente de la familia de los metales, eso sí.
So, in the military band, I was playing 7 days a week. So I became quite good, you know. I became a very high-level player. And then I realized, you know, I want to be a musician. I don't want to be a teacher. This is much better. This is much more fun. And I started to write small arrangements for the band. There was a 36 men brass and saxophones. It's called a fanfare.
Okay.
The fanfare band.
Como tenía que dedicarle muchas horas, que estaban pues ensayando, tocando 7 días a la semana, empezó a coger el gusto, y es cuando se dio realmente cuenta de que él no quería ser profesor, que lo que quería era ser músico, y que lo disfrutaba mucho. Y entonces empezó también a hacer pues pequeños arreglos para este tipo de fanfarrias, ¿no? Con instrumentos de metal, también con saxos, y bueno, poco a poco pues fue aumentando su dedicación a la música.
So it was in 1975, 1976. It was 16 months of duty, military duty. That's why I started to realize, okay, I want to be a musician, not a teacher. So then came the audition for in Amsterdam for euphonium, and I won the audition. So my military service ended on April 30th, and the next day I had a job. I was a professional player. So that was amazing. And then in Amsterdam, that's why I started to write my first arrangements for the Amsterdam Police Band. So a moment for Morricone, Pink Panther, Can't Take My Eyes Off You, Copacabana, Abacadabra, all the early arrangements are from that time. So I was there 11 years, from 1977 to 1988. That was 11 years of the police band.
Okay. Sorry, because I lost a moment.
Oh.
Sorry. No, don't worry. Es después de formar parte de la banda militar que él empezó a ver, espera un momento. A hacer pruebas, sí, auditions, sí, pruebas para trabajar como músico profesional. Y entonces también son esos los años en los que él empezó también a hacer un poco de arreglos ya, de obras que ya existían, pero hacer un poco de arreglos.
Yes, so the good thing was that I was playing in a professional band every day. So I could really hear what the possibilities are. So it was a 40-piece wind band, not very big, but everything was there, you know, it was a complete orchestration. Can you understand?
Yes. Que la parte buena de eso, de este periodo, es que, bueno, él, sorry, because they are waiting for me, and I lost this part. Can you repeat? Sorry.
What did I say? So yeah, this is where I was playing with 40 professional musicians, you know, and we played every day. We did a lot of concerts. We traveled to Canada, to Denmark, you know. It was a really great time. At the same time, I started to study in The Hague, in Den Haag, where I was born, at the conservatorium, the Royal Conservatorium, for trombone and conducting.
Ok, que trabajaba entonces con aproximadamente unos 40 músicos de otras partes del mundo, y que esa fue también la época en la que él empezó a estudiar en el conservatorio de su ciudad, de La Haya, y empezó sus estudios de trombón, pero también de dirección, y así es como empezó, dijéramos, la parte más profesional a nivel académico.
So, and then I also had lots of free time, so I could play as a substitute with some of the Dutch symphony orchestras, like the Amsterdam Philharmonic, the Radio Chamber Orchestra, etc. And I see that my friend Bram Sneakers is now in the group, and we played together. He was playing trumpets, and he was sitting behind me, and I was playing trombone. Many times we did concerts together. So, hi Bram, you can't say anything, but welcome to the group. Very nice that you can join us.
Tenía tiempo libre, aunque parezca mentira, en esa época, así que empezó también tuvo la oportunidad, vaya, de formar parte de orquestas y de bandas diversas. Él ha nombrado algunas, yo no he podido anotarlo, lo siento. Y aquí fue donde conoció a uno de sus mejores amigos, a quien ha saludado por aquí. Lo que pasa es que nosotros no podemos verle, pero está escuchándonos también.
So in 1988, the police band was dissolved. There was no more money, so I lost my job. But 1988 was also a crucial year for me in my life, because my first symphony had the premiere in March of 1988 in Belgium. And I got another job in a small ensemble, a group with 13 players, a professional small wind ensemble, with which I played very much contemporary music. And the name of the group was De Volharding. That's Dutch for the perseverance, la perseveranza. That was the name of the group.
Ok, el año 1988 fue crucial para él porque, por una parte, la mala noticia es que se disolvió, vaya, la banda de la policía por falta de recursos, creo que ha comentado, pero curiosamente también fue un año positivo y importante porque fue cuando estrenó su primera, empezó con la primera sinfonía, en Bélgica, y donde también creo que ha comentado que estuvo también vinculado a un ensemble de instrumentos de viento y un grupo al que él ha nombrado ahora que se llama La Perseverancia, así era como se llamaba el grupo y donde también formaba parte.
So this group, La Perseverancia, was founded by Dutch composer Louis Andriessen. And we should remember that name because I will talk about him later when I talk about Extreme Makeover. So Louis Andriessen, he founded two groups. One was the Volharding, the Perseverancia, and the other one was called Hoketus. And they were all small ensembles playing very contemporary music, avant-garde.
En este grupo, el fundador es un nombre el que tenemos que recordar porque luego cuando hable de Extreme Makeover él lo nombrará. Louis Andriessen es un compositor holandés que fundó este grupo y también fundó otro grupo, Hoketus, o si no lo he pronunciado bien. Okay, thank you. Donde hacían pues música bastante contemporánea.
So, playing in this group, I started to know minimal music, which was very important. You know, Louis Andriessen started as a minimal music composer, like Philip Glass or Steve Reich or John Adams. And those composers became very influential in my music. Because if you listen to Symphony No. 2, La Gran Manzana, the Big Apple, it's completely different than Lord of the Rings, which is much more melodic, etc. Big Apple is almost like a study in minimal music. It's very repetitive. It's very much inspired by music of John Adams, Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland. So playing in that group was very important for me as a beginning composer. And I say beginning because I had only written one original piece, and that was Symphony No. 1, Señor de los Anillos.
Participar o formar parte de este grupo y coincidir con compositores como el que ha nombrado, de Louis Andriessen, pero también Philip Glass o John Adams, para él es muy importante y tiene mucha influencia. Aquí, sobre todo, este tipo de música es como una música más minimalista y él nos explica que la influencia en esto la podemos ver sobre todo en su segunda sinfonía de Big Apple, porque es totalmente diferente a la primera, la de los Señor de los Anillos. Es como más repetitiva, se ve la influencia de John Adams o creo que ha nombrado también a Leonard Bernstein, así que él quiere destacar esto porque para él tiene mucha influencia este tipo de compositores.
So, playing in this group made a big impact on me, on my style and the way of thinking of music. So, and you can hear that in later pieces as well. In Symphony No. 3, Planeta Terra, Planet Earth, there are also repeating moments, minimal music. I like to use patterns that are repetitive, but they are always functional. It's not like Philip Glass where it's just repeating and nothing happens. I always try to make it functional in the progress of the music.
Este impacto también se aprecia en su tercera sinfonía, el Planeta Tierra, donde dice que podemos ver este sentido más minimalista, más como repetitivo, pero matiza que no es repetitivo sin que pase nada más, sino que es bastante funcional y vuelve a insistir en la importancia de haber formado parte de estos grupos y haber coincidido o estar influenciado por ese tipo de compositores para su obra.
So my career as a composer really started in 1988 with the premiere of Lord of the Rings. Before that, so between 1982 and 1988, I've written many arrangements that are still famous, like The Phantom of the Opera, Star Wars, Cats, Le Papillon, American Suite, Romeo and Julia. They were all written in the same time as I was working on Lord of the Rings.
Vale, su carrera como compositor empieza en 1988 con la composición del Señor de los Anillos, su primera sinfonía, pero previamente, entre los años 82 y 88, él sobre todo se dedica a hacer adaptaciones, a arranjaments, vaya. Ha nombrado unos cuantos como Star Wars, El fantasma de la ópera, Cats, Le Papillon, Romeo y Julieta. Todo esto es un poco, dijéramos, previo a su etapa ya como compositor, que empieza en el 88.
So Lord of the Rings was not a commission. I had no deadline. There was no premiere planned, and I started to write the first sketches in 1984. And so it took me 4 years to write the first symphony, which is a long time, of course, for 43 minutes. But it was more like a hobby. I had no commission. Like I said, nobody was paying for it. I just did it to try to write a large work for wind orchestra, a symphony. Because in 1984, there were very few symphonies, original symphonies for band, only by Ida Kotkowski, of course Hector Berlioz, the Symphony Funèbre Triomphale, which is original for banda. Percy Ketty has written a symphony. Paul Hindemith, the symphony in B flat. Serge Lançon, Symphony de Paris, Manhattan Symphony, but only very few. So I really wanted to write a symphony for winds, because there were so few in those days.
Okay, so it's just like for your personal necessity or something like that?
No. Of course, I was playing in a wind orchestra, but we always played the same stuff, and always short pieces and entertainment music, and so I thought that we lack serious repertoire. We need good, substantial, original repertoire, like the symphony orchestra, The symphony orchestra plays the first part. It's an overture, a piano concerto, intermission, and a Brahms symphony in the second half. A band then plays, a march, a paso doble, and a fantasie, and a zarzuela, 10 pieces, then intermission, and then 12 pieces in the second half.
Okay.
Or transcriptions, especially in Spain. The band is the big transcription of the Pino di Roma, the Rite of Spring, etc. But very little original repertoire.
Ok, cuando compuso, la primera sinfonía, no fue por... Me oigo yo como en rever, no sé. Bueno, no fue porque nadie le pagara ni se la pidiera hacer, sino fue porque él se dio cuenta de que había una falta de composiciones de este tipo para bandas. Sí que había muchas composiciones, pero más como más ligeras o más de entretenimiento, como pasodobles, zarzuelas, pero realmente sinfonías que no fueran adaptadas de orquesta para banda, pues él se dio cuenta de que había como una falta de este tipo de repertorio. Y entonces, pues, quiso hacer pues obras originales para banda sinfónica, pero que fueran originales.
So, when I was telling people that I was writing a 45-minute piece, they all said, "You're crazy, you're loco. Nobody will play it, it's too long." Honestly, that's what a lot of people told me. And because they said, our audiences are not used to long pieces, so forget it. Nobody's going to play it. Well, I thought, I don't think so. So I didn't listen to them. They said, yeah, you should, if you want to be a composer, you should start with a short piece, and then you can always write something longer. But I did not listen to that advice, and I just thought, no, I wanted to write a substantial work of 45 minutes, and I did. And they were wrong, because now it's one of the most played pieces in the repertoire. So.
Cuando él verbalizó que estaba empezando a componer una obra que duraba 45 minutos, la gente le decía que estaba loco, que eso no tenía sentido, que era demasiado largo, que el público, la audiencia, que que tienen normalmente las bandas de música, no estaba acostumbrado a piezas tan largas, pero él no oyó esas advertencias. Él pensaba que sí y dice, bueno, al final el tiempo me ha dado un poco la razón porque esa es una de las sinfonías más interpretadas seguramente vamos, en los programas de bandas de música.
So nowadays, after 33 years, look at our repertoire for original repertoire for wind orchestra. We have dozens and dozens of symphonies. You know, all the great wind composers are now writing symphonies. Philip Spark, Jan van der Roost, Ferre Ferran, John Mackey, Thomas Doss. You know, they all started to write symphonies. So I think I have started a trend, or at least I proved that you can certainly write a 45-minute or a 30-minute piece, and as long as it's good, people will start to play it.
Años después, todo el tiempo que ha pasado, dice que ahora es muy normal, que hay decenas y decenas de piezas que son sinfonías, que por tanto tienen ya esa duración mucho más larga.
Not millones, no.
No, millones no, decenas, ¿no?
Yeah, but I saw the translation, it says millones. No.
Ah, ok, no. De sinfonías y que entonces sí que tiene un poco la sensación, pues bueno, que cuando él empezó así, pues creó un poco de la tendencia y que, a ver, no ha dicho eso, que es como que, bueno, creó una tendencia que ahora, años después, pues se ha materializado.
So 1998 was also an important year for myself because I started my own company, my publishing company, Amstel Music, because I lost my job, you know, with the Amsterdam Police Band. I had no more job, so I became a freelance musician. And I started my company, and there was, in the beginning, only one piece, and that was Lord of the Rings. That was the first piece that I started to publish by myself.
Como se quedó sin trabajo al desaparecer la banda, había empezado ya a componer antes, pero el 88 también es el año importante porque es como cuando él, al considerarse pues un músico freelance, creó su compañía también para publicar y editar esas obras, que en aquel momento solo era una, El Señor de los Anillos, pero que luego sí que ha ido engrandeciendo.
And I still publish my own works until today. I still have my company, Amstel Music. It's quite small. I only do my own pieces and a few classical arrangements, like the Jazz Suite, you know, Shostakovich, that everybody plays in Spain, or Carl Nielsen. So right now, I have written 5 symphonies, 8 major solo concertos, like T-Bone Concerto and Fellini, UFO Concerto. I just finished a new piece for a baritone saxophone solo, which is not published yet. So and this year I've been writing a lot. Last year I've written more than 3.5 hours of music. And because I have no travels, no concerts, the only thing I could do is sit at home and work, make new pieces and arrangements. So.
Ha seguido publicando sus obras, tiene 5 sinfonías que están publicadas, pero también algunas pequeñas piezas que también ha seguido publicando en esta compañía que él fundó en ese momento.
So, Pep Dominguez asked me to talk about Extreme Makeover, which I would like to start now, but maybe we should give some time for preguntas, for questions.
Ok, nos hablará de empezar hablando de Extreme Makeover porque, bueno, le comentamos que es una obra pues importante y que tiene mucho significado para la banda de la Ciac, pero antes de empezar dice que si alguien tiene alguna pregunta de todo esto que ha comentado, que por favor ahora sería el momento, o sea que si alguien quiere preguntar algo, podéis pedir el turno de preguntas.
And are we doing it in the chat or will they?
Yeah, I don't know if there is anyone that podéis ponerlo en el chat si alguien quiere preguntar. Me parece que Carmina. Ah, vale, mira, primero me preguntan if you have free time after all of these productions.
What I do in my free time, you mean?
If
When
you
I'm not
have,
really...
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I like to be in the kitchen to
Okay,
cook. That's one of my hobbies, you know. My wife and I, we love to travel to
okay,
all over the world, you know, to see other countries. And so we've been in India, we've been in Peru. This year we go to Madagascar.
okay,
And so traveling, cooking,
okay. El
drinking
tiempo
wine,
libre.
very important.
Okay.
And I like art in general, museums, ballet, all kinds of art, or symphony orchestras, opera. So yeah, those are my hobbies.
Ok, vale, sí que tiene aún tiempo libre, dice que sobre todo le gusta mucho cocinar, también viajar a otros países, que hace relativamente poco ha estado en India, en Perú, en Madagascar, y que en general le gustan las artes en general, eso incluye pues obviamente visitas a museos, ballet, óperas. Ok, we have another question. Um, have you ever composed any piece, short piece to play on the street?
Like a paso doble or
Yeah,
a march?
sí, more similar, paso doble, pasacalle, yeah.
No, I've,
No,
I've only written music for the stage, yeah, for the podium, yeah.
okay.
But
And are you
maybe I
think,
should. I mean,
but are you thinking on this or no?
no, no.
Okay. No, no ha compuesto piezas así breves porque todo se ha centrado en tocar en escenarios y que tampoco lo tiene entre sus planes. And another question if are you expecting the success with your first symphony? And what do you think? Um, why is so famous and has a lot of succeed? I don't know if you understand.
I didn't know. I did not expect that it would be so successful. I was very insecure because like people told me it was too long, you know. And but after the premiere in Brussels with the band of the Belgian guys, a fantastic group. Then I knew, and there was a recording on Belgian radio. Then I knew, okay, this is not too long. It's actually something new and groundbreaking. And why it became so popular, I don't know. It has some beautiful melodies. There's some original elements in it, you know, like the soprano saxophone in Gollum, and it's just telling a beautiful story, and it sounds very symphonic. It doesn't sound like a typical band piece, as we have many. It sounds like an orchestra, and I actually did make an orchestral version after a couple of years, which was recorded by the London Symphony Orchestra and many other orchestras in the world. So it works also very well for orchestra, you know, with strings and all. So.
Ok, no se esperaba para nada el éxito, de hecho él estaba bastante inseguro porque como le habían recordado que era demasiado largo, pero bueno, después de la premiere en Bruselas, con la grabación, pues vieron que realmente había hecho algo nuevo. Cree que quizá el éxito se basa en las melodías que utiliza, que son bonitas, en cosas originales como por ejemplo el momento del saxo soprano en el tiempo de Gollum y que suena realmente como si fuera muy sinfonía, ¿no? Que hasta ese momento pues no era muy habitual. Y nos ha comentado que un par de años después él también hizo una versión de la misma sinfonía pero para tocar en orquesta. Okay, we have two more questions. If espera, que me estoy estresando.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Which composers have been very influential in my on my music?
Yeah, this is one. Another is well, okay, answer this and I say two more. We have two more.
Okay. The most important composers for my inspiration are classical composers. And there's a whole list, but it would certainly be Giacomo Puccini, Sergei Prokofiev, Igor Stravinsky, Leonard Bernstein, Gustav Mahler, Dmitri Shostakovich, Carl Nielsen, John Adams, John Williams, film composer, Louis Andriessen, the Dutch composer. So those are 10, but there are many more. I mean, I love Schubert, I love Dvorak, I love Beethoven, of course. So, but in general, the classical composers are my inspiration and yeah, that's where I get my ideas from. So.
Ok, en general son los compositores clásicos los que él considera que más le han influenciado. Ha nombrado a Puccini, Stravinsky, Mahler, Shostakovich, también Leonard Bernstein. Ha nombrado también a John Adams, a John Williams y a Louis Anderson, como ha nombrado ya antes, previamente, pero en general son sobre todo los compositores clásicos los que más le han influenciado. What do you think about the Lord of the Rings soundtrack by Howard Shore, being it so different from your symphony?
I like it because it's very well written, but of course Howard Shore had to write film music, you know. I didn't write film music, although a lot of people think it's very filmic, you know, you could easily use that as the soundtrack, but of course the job for Howard Shore was to underscore what's on the screen, you know, and it shouldn't be too direct. I think my music is more direct because I am describing with my music the characters like Gandalf and the Hobbits and Lady Galadriel and Gollum and you name it, and the Balrog and the orcs. And Howard Shore's music is more how do you say in the background, you know, as an underscore. And during the whole film, there's music, so it shouldn't be too pronounced. Otherwise, it would take away from what's on the screen. So.
Ok, le gusta la banda sonora, considera que está muy bien compuesta, pero claro, lo ve muy diferente respecto a la sinfonía que él escribió, porque claro, la banda sonora está mucho más centrada en la película, es mucho más cinematográfica, tiene que acompañar las imágenes durante todo el film, y en cambio su sinfonía considera que es mucho más descriptiva, sobre todo a nivel de personajes. And we have another question about, wait a moment, if exists any short piece for piano about the T-bone concerto?
I don't understand the question.
Sorry. ¿Existe una reducción de piano del T-bone concerto?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, the T-bone concerto has a reduction for piano, yeah. It has been out for many years. And same for UFO concerto. You know, for some of the solo concertos, I make piano reductions so people can study at home or with a piano player. So the answer is yes. Yeah.
Sí, la respuesta es que sí que existe para esa obra. And sorry, because I think we have two more questions.
Good.
Okay. Tomorrow. What do you think about I don't know if the most important, but Spanish composer for you, the most important or one of the most important? What do you think?
Living or in general?
In general.
My favorite Spanish composer is Manuel de Falla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with distance. I love his music. But also Albéniz, Isaac Albéniz. And living composers, when you think, I like Ferrer Ferran, Luis Serrano Aracon, and they're all friends of mine. Teo Aparicio, I hope I don't forget, but you know, a lot of young composers are now emerging in Spain, and that's fantastic. We need good original composers. And I must say, on a personal note, my friend Henry Adams, you know, who has been in Spain for also like 34 years now, I think he has been very important for the original music for band in Spain, because when he came to Spain with La Artística Buñol, he started to play original music, including my symphony, and he gave a lot of chances to young composers to play their music. He did a lot of premieres, also people from outside of Spain, like Thomas Terrassel. He has played all the symphonies of Thomas, you know. So I must compliment Henry for his work as a pioneer for the original band scene in Spain. I think he really changed the repertoire over the years. Not right away, but very, very gradual.
Su compositor español favorito, quizá el que más destacaría él, puede que sea Manuel de Falla. Ha nombrado también a Albéniz. Contemporáneos ha nombrado, por ejemplo, a Ferrer Ferran o a Luis Serrano. Y luego ha querido también destacar a Henry Adams, que aunque no es español, lleva mucho tiempo viviendo aquí, 34 años, porque pues, las obras originales para banda y el trabajo que ha hecho aquí, dice que ha cambiado como un poco el repertorio de lo que solía hacerse aquí para banda, y aunque no es español, como su trabajo lo ha realizado aquí en España, es uno de los compositores que también destacaría.
Okay. ¿Más preguntas?
Wait a moment. Okay, about your first symphony, the books, the Tolkien's books, inspired you, the music? I don't know if you are a fan of Tolkien, or if the idea to compose this, it was totally different.
The story, I was not, I didn't know the books when I was young, you know, I didn't read them at all. The idea came from a friend of mine, Arie van Beek, a Dutch conductor, when I told him that I wanted to write a major work and I was looking for a subject. And so I said, do you have any idea, maybe a book or a painting? And he said, well, have you thought of Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings? And I thought, oh, yeah, I've heard about it. So I started reading the books, and then I thought, okay, this is it. This is great. So I wasn't a fan of Tolkien before. No, I'm now. And as you know, also my last symphony is based on Tolkien. Return to Middle Earth is symbolic, you know, a return to Middle Earth. 33 years after writing Symphony No. 1, I went back to the source where it all began. And the Fifth Symphony has some elements of Symphony No. 1, but on the other hand, it's completely different. Maybe we can talk about that later. The difference between the 5 symphonies, yeah.
Ok, no conocía los libros antes de empezar a componer esta sinfonía. De hecho, la idea viene un poco como al revés, hablando con un amigo, porque él le dijo que tenía intención de hacer una sinfonía y que necesitaba alguna idea para inspirarse. Entonces fue su amigo el que le planteó si conocía los libros de Tolkien. Él había oído hablar de ellos, pero no los había leído, y en el momento en que empezó a leerlos vio que claramente que sí, que aquello era lo que necesitaba para inspirarse y hacer la sinfonía. Creo que ha comentado también que su última sinfonía está también vinculada a todo el universo Tolkien, aunque es muy diferente de la primera.
I forgot to mention some other important Spanish composers. Andrés Castells and José Suñer, who is also a very emerging and very successful composer. So I think he's with us, is he? I don't see.
Yes.
Okay.
José Suñer is
Hola, José.
with us.
Thanks for joining.
Que se le ha olvidado comentar dos compositores a los que también cree que son muy importantes, que es José Suñer y Andrés Castells, que también considera que son compositores españoles importantes.
And also Saul Gómez Soler. He also became a friend recently. And we both wrote a piece about Da Vinci. You may have heard of Soler. He wrote a 22-minute piece about Da Vinci, which is very good. And I wrote a piece with the same title called Da Vinci, but it's much shorter. It's only 8 minutes. So.
Okay, también Gómez Soler.
There are many more Spanish composers, but I just can't think of the names right now. So these are just examples. Please excuse if I skip somebody.
Ha nombrado también a Gómez Soler, con el que han escrito una obra de aproximadamente unos 22 minutos sobre Da Vinci.
Okay. Shall I speak a little bit about Extreme Makeover now?
Okay.
Okay. It was written in 2004, and it was originally for brass band. So not for wind orchestra, but brass band. It was written for the 2005 certamen for brass bands, the European Championships in Holland.
Empezamos a hablar de Extreme Makeover. Es una obra que compuso en 2004. Entonces era una obra original para brass band, no para banda también con instrumentos de viento, pero bueno, luego eso sí cambió en el 2005, cuando creo que ha comentado que para un certamen, pues ya se adaptó y se hizo seguramente la que nosotros conocemos ahora, que es para brass band y también instrumentos de madera.
So the title is Extreme Makeover, and the subtitle is Metamorphosis on a theme by Tchaikovsky. So I used a theme from Piotr Tchaikovsky, which comes out of his first string quartet. It's the second movement called Andante Cantabile. And we have some sound examples that Pep will play for us. So, Pep, por favor, ejemplo uno. This is the original string quartet by Tchaikovsky, just a couple of bars.
Vamos a oír la obra se llama Extreme Makeover, pero el subtítulo es Metamorfosis, de un tema de Tchaikovsky, y ahora vamos a oír el tema original de Tchaikovsky, que es Andante Cantabile, en el que se ha basado luego para Extreme Makeover.
Okay, I'm very sorry that the sound quality is very bad. It's a normal with Zoom that it becomes, you know, it doesn't sound like it should be, but at least we have an idea. So that's the original Andante Cantabile in B flat. That's the same key I used it. And instead of a string quartet, I used another quartet in the brass band, which is 2 cornets, an alto horn, and a euphonium. That's a classical brass quartet in the literature. For instance, the Salvation Army has thousands of little arrangements just for those 4 brass instruments. So that's why I chose the original quartet to be this instrumentation. I hope that's clear.
Ok, hemos oído el cuarteto original. Él luego lo ha adaptado para lo que es más habitual. Así, bueno, hemos oído, nos hacemos una idea de cómo sonaba original. Lo ha adaptado, ha dicho, el cuarteto que sería para brass band, me ha parecido entender, disculpar, que utiliza lo que sería el cuarteto típico de instrumentos en la familia de los metales. Que eso ha dicho que es como muy habitual, o más o menos habitual, en lo que serían las formaciones de bandas militares.
And in the wind version, which I wrote later, it starts with 4 saxophones, as you all know. Yeah.
Luego en la versión que hizo ya para banda completa, como ya sabemos, eso lo transformó en un cuarteto de saxos.
So the whole piece consists of 5 parts, 5 movements that are all connected. So the first part is the original thema, which is repeated twice. Then the second movement are just clusters based on the first 3 notes. Remember? Mm-hmm. Just da 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 da. So the second movement is suddenly a total different world, from very classical to modern or contemporary. And here already comes Louis Andriessen around the corner. But more about that later. The third movement is called Alla Marcia, and it has many other themes from other works from Tchaikovsky, which we will play later. Then the fourth movement is the sort of a cadenza, where the marimba plays a major role, and some bottles, and that I will tell you about that later as well. And then the last movement is like a fugue or a canon, and then to the grand finale. So those are the 5 movements that are all connected.
La obra, aunque está en una única pieza, sí que tiene 5 partes diferenciadas, pero todas están conectadas. El primero es el tema original, luego sí que hay como una parte un poco más quizá actual, donde utiliza tres notas. Ha vuelto a nombrar aquí la influencia de Louis Andriessen. El tercer movimiento es así como más a la marcha, otro de los temas de Tchaikovsky. En el cuarto es donde hay como una gran cadencia, donde la marimba es donde tiene el gran protagonismo y es donde aparecen también las botellas. Y luego la parte final, la quinta, que sería un canon.
So, I told you earlier about my fascination for minimal music. And I mentioned Steve Reich and Philip Glass, Louis Andriessen. But a lot of minimal composers have been influenced by an Indonesian instrument called a gamelan. And Pep, can you play ejemplo 4, por favor?
Como nos ha dicho antes, tiene como mucha fascinación por la música minimalista y nos explica que hay algunos compositores en los que él se ha basado que están como influenciados por un instrumento de Indonesia que se llama gamelan, y ahora vamos a oír uno de los ejemplos.
Okay, as you can hear, the gamelan can only play 5 notes. In this case, E flat, F, A, B flat, C. And I started to think, you know what, I'm going to do something with those 5 notes. So I added one note underneath and one note on top. So, and when the saints plus the 7, which is basically a B flat chord with a 7 and a 4th. And I use that in various keys, especially when in the 3rd movement it's different keys when the bottles come in. Now, I have 2 examples from music by Louis Andriessen, and it's probably his most famous, most performed work is called De Staat, which means El Stato. And Pep, could you play ejemplo 2 y un poco ejemplo 3? And you can hear that he uses exactly the same principle, only 4 or 5 notes.
Ok, perdona, dice que el instrumento este solo utiliza 5 notas y que él empezó también utilizando estas notas, luego sí que añadió una nota al principio y una al final, y ahora es una de las cosas que vamos a oír.
So, did you hear exactly the same? Repeating, and with little changes. Those of you who know my Symphony number 3, Planet Earth, in the 2nd movement, I use exactly the same notes. Da da dee da dee dum da dee dee dee. Remember? Same key, E major. So I use that gamelan scale, as you want to call it, throughout the whole piece. The 3rd movement, there I use something original, which hasn't been done before. I'm using 10 bottles, like a wine bottle or a beer bottle, and they are tuned. So I think it's in G. It's very simple, just like a flute, an embouchure or a pan flute. So in the original brass band version, I had all the cornets, 10 players, play bottles. But of course, all are different. All are tuned a different way. And they are tuned in these 5 and the octave. You can also play them as a chord, you know? That's the accompaniment for the big marimba solo. And the trick is, with a bottle, you have to tune it very carefully. If you take out a little bit of water, for instance, now it's a G. See, I took out a couple of drops, and it drops 1 note. A little more. lot of people have trouble doing it, to find the right embouchure. And I've seen some bands that use very small bottles, and that's not good. Like a perfume or aftershave. No, it should be a big bottle because you need the sound of the sound of the bottle. This is too small, or a key. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay. Vale. La originalidad de esta obra llega en lo que sería la tercera parte, que es donde aparecen las botellas, ¿no? Como algo original. En la obra original de Broadway había 10 botellas que están obviamente todas perfectamente coordinadas con diferentes notas. Lo hemos visto, nos lo has tecnificado, que obviamente conforme vamos pues modificando la cantidad de líquido que hay dentro, las notas cambian. Creo que ha dicho que utilizaba 5 notas, igual que el gamelán. Creo que igual me he despistado, pero diría que era sol, re, mi, la... y no sé si sí, la última, y que es importante que no se utilicen botellas pequeñas porque la sonoridad no es la misma, que se necesitan grandes botellas de vino o como la que la presidenta estaba enseñando por ahí. Después de bebérselas hay que aprovecharlas, se recicla todo.
Sí, vino o cerveza.
Ok.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Okay, back to the third movement, in which I use several themes from Tchaikovsky, and it begins with a little fragment from the Symphony Number 6. Pep, por favor, 5. Ejemplo 5.
En el tercer movimiento vuelve a utilizar motivos de Tchaikovsky, un pequeño fragmento de su sinfonía número 6 que ahora escucharemos.
That's enough. It's bastante. So remember, pam pam param, para pa pa param. That's the rhythm from Symphony Number 6. But I didn't use the same notes. I only stole the rhythm. Pam 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 pam, para pa pa pam pam, pam 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 pam, para pa pam pam. Remember, that's how the third movement starts. So that's not a tonal element, but a rhythmical element that I used from Tchaikovsky. Then I used 2 ideas from his overture Romeo and Juliet. The first one is the sort of a chorale melody, and the second one is very fast with 16 note and a very difficult cymbal part. Ching, 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 ching. On the beat, after the beat, syncopation. Can you play them both, Pep? Número 6 y número 7, por favor.
También utilizan esta tercera parte más motivos de Tchaikovsky. Lo hemos visto no tanto por las notas utilizadas, pero sí por el ritmo, que sí que es el mismo. Y también coge como 2 ideas de Romeo y Julieta, que ahora vamos a escuchar.
Okay. Very famous passage for the percussion and a nightmare for the cymbals because it's very difficult to be exact on time. So But I use those exactly the same rhythms and a lot of notes going on. Of course, different notes than Tchaikovsky. And the chorale I also use in a different environment. I used it in 3. Bam, 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 bing, bam, bam, bing, etc. And then the last fragment that I use is the opening of Symphony number 4. That's ejemplo 8.
Hemos escuchado un par de pasajes famosos, muy rítmicos, obviamente los utiliza con diferentes notas, pero el mismo ritmo, y la coral ha comentado que él la usa en un ambiente también diferente. Y ahora vamos a oír una última parte.
So that theme appears in the end of the 3rd movement, when we go into the 4th movement where the bottles come in. Now, the 4th movement, you know, the bottles are playing, and the marimba is playing his big solo. Then something happens in the tubas and the euphonium and the horns. The tuba and euphonium start to play this chord. Do you hear that? In the low register, which is E major or F flat major to be precise. And then the horns play another chord. So the left hand is F flat major or E major. The right hand is E flat major 7. Together. So it starts 1, 2, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom. And then they go bum together, bum, 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 and then bum, 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 bum. And then they go. Okay, that's, of course, everybody knows that, Rite of Spring. Can you play number 9, please, Bet? Etc. So I used that little fragment I borrowed that from another Russian composer, Igor Stravinsky. And this chord I have used in other works too. It's in Symphony number 1. As you may remember, Gollum. Those 2 chords are exactly the same chords as I just played. And I use it in Symphony number 3. In the Big Apple, there's one fragment where this chord is hidden, Casanova. And why? I don't know. I just love this chord. It's so amazing. And the Rite of Spring, Le Sacre du Printemps, is for me my favorite piece of music ever written. So that's why a little ode to Igor Stravinsky in Extreme Makeover.
Aparte de Tchaikovsky también aparecen, bueno, pues como fragmentos de otro compositor ruso, de Igor Stravinsky, ha comentado que también, como le gusta mucho, creo que ha dicho la consagración de la primavera, me pareció entender, la ha utilizado, ha hecho pequeños guiños en otras obras suyas, como por ejemplo en El Señor de los Anillos, en el movimiento de Gollum, también aparecen pequeños guiños sobre esto. A él le gusta mucho y entonces pues está muy presente también en su obra.
And those chords, together with Marima, leads us into the finale, the canon, which goes same material, just in another context. And then it ends into a big finale where the main theme very gloriously comes back one more time. And then I put some 1812 in there very, very clearly at the end. So, can you play Once, por favor?
Todo esto nos lleva ya al gran final, que es como muy glorioso y en el que claramente se aprecian también guiños a la composición de 1812.
So those fanfares, I use the all over the place, at the end, and the tubular bells going in E flat, just playing every note they can find. So yeah, that brings it to a very big ending, and it's always an audience pleaser. It has been played many times now, and especially the wind version. So the original brass band version still get played, but not much. The wind version gets played much more, which is fine with me, So, okay, that was a little explanation of Extreme Makeover. After this, I wrote a couple of years later. I wrote another extreme piece called Extreme Beethoven. Same principle. I used classical themes from Beethoven, many more than Tchaikovsky, and I started with an original 4-harmony introduction. And then I go to play with the material and to mix it all up. And at the end, it becomes glorious again. So, yeah.
Bueno, lo de 1812 se aprecia claramente en Extreme Makeover. Un par de años después compuso otra obra que se llama Extreme Beethoven y en el que viene a hacer un poco lo mismo, ¿no? Coge pues fragmentos de Beethoven y juega un poco a su manera partiendo de esta base.
Okay. Are there maybe any more questions, or would you like to talk to me about other subjects? Or?
No sé si tenéis alguna pregunta sobre Extreme o preferís que hable sobre alguna otra cosa. Okay.
Oh yeah, I was going to tell you a little bit about the 5 symphonies.
Okay.
The similarities.
We have some questions. Are you thinking in change anything about Extreme or not?
Did I change anything?
Yeah.
Since when?
¿Alguna cosa concreta, Carmina? If you change anything, the question is...
No, when
like general.
When it was finished, yeah, I didn't change it.
For example, she asked if you are thinking, for example, in change the the beginning and return to an original quartet of cello quartet?
Oh, no, I never thought about that. It's not cello quartet, it's string quartet. So 2 violins, viola, and cello.
Okay.
Tchaikovsky himself wrote an arrangement for cello and orchestra on the Andante Cantabile. That's another piece besides the string quartet. And it's actually not an original composition, it's a Russian folk song. It's not a composition, he didn't write it, he just used a folk song in his music. And it sounds very Russian, you know? Like the Volga song. So, oh yeah, the 5 symphonies. So there's Lord of the Rings, Big Apple, Planet Earth, Symphonie de Lieder, number 4, and Return to Middle Earth. 3, 4, and 5 have vocalists. So Planet Earth has a female choir, just female choir. Symphony number 4 has a mezzo-soprano and a children choir. And symphony number 5 has soprano and a big choir with soprano, alto, tenor, bass. That's a big difference with symphony number 1 and 2. Symphony number 2 and 3 use samples, so a sound system. Or maybe you want to translate now. Otherwise, the sentence is too long.
Yeah, please. No, don't worry. Que nunca ha pensado en cambiarlo, que de hecho Tchaikovsky mismo ya compuso también un arreglo para chelos y orquesta sobre ese mismo movimiento, y luego él lo ha enlazado hablando de las 5 sinfonías. La tercera, la cuarta y la quinta creo que ha dicho que estaban pensadas también para ser interpretadas con vocalistas. Y que era la gran diferencia con la primera y segunda. I think another questions. Why did you choose that concrete themes from Tchaikovsky and no other ones? I don't know.
I don't know. This is all I needed. In Extreme Beethoven, I used older symphonies, Egmont Overture, the Piano Concerto for Elise, the Turkish March. So in Extreme Beethoven, I used almost 95% of what you hear is notes from Beethoven, not from de Meij. And in Extreme Makeover, I used much more own material based on the gamelan, you know, those 5 notes. It's just a variations on those 5 notes, on that chord. Actually, I used exactly the same chords in UFO Concerto. Maybe some of you will know it. It's just solo for euphonium. That's the main theme. But we're only with the octave. Same 5 notes. I was so fascinated, and I still am, what you can do with those 5 notes, that I wrote the whole UFO Concerto is based again on the same gamelan scale.
No tiene muy claro por qué eligió estos fragmentos o estas obras concretas de Tchaikovsky, porque, por ejemplo, sí que ha dicho que la diferencia cuando compuso Extreme Beethoven sí que ahí utiliza un tanto por cien de música, un tanto por cien muy elevado de música, creo que ha dicho un 90% o así, que toda es de Beethoven. En cambio, en Tchaikovsky sí que coge eso como para tenerlo como base, pero sobre todo se inspira en el instrumento que ha comentado antes, en la gamala y en esas 5 notas.
Okay, I see that my dear friend Henry Adams has joined the meeting. Hola, Henry.
Hello.
Maybe we can give him the microphone. Maybe Henry wants to say something.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Es un gran placer estar un ratito con ustedes y con mi amigo Johan, que el problema ha sido que no podía acudir a la hora porque tenía un compromiso a las 6 o a las 5, pero estoy ahora aquí. Para Johan, hartstikke leuk je te zien, joh. En ik heb al even een stukje teruggezien ook van gisteren. Dus wat je me gestuurd had.
Oké.
Nou, ga je gang. Ik luister met volle aandacht. Voy escuchando con toda mi atención de lo que estáis hablando. Y estoy que para la gente que no lo saben, hace 5 o 6 semanas me han tenido que operar de un tumor de cerebral y que realmente me encuentro muy bien con después de la operación, y que es un gran placer estar con ustedes, y pronto estaré nuevamente haciendo música seguramente.
Al contrario, el placer es nuestro. Desde la Ciac y todos los otros compañeros que se han conectado, te damos las gracias. Nos alegramos que estés bien, y desde luego que el placer es nuestro. Era una sorpresa que no sabíamos que ibas a conectarte y a aparecer, así que fantástico, estamos encantados.
Muchas gracias.
Yeah, I'm very, very moved to see Henry, and he's doing so well. He had a very heavy surgery, as he told you, but his recovery is amazing. So I'm so proud of him, and I'm so happy that it's going well right now. You know, there's still a long way to go, but I'm very moved to see that.
Thank you so much. As you said, there is a long way to go, but since the main operation in my head is doing so well, I'm very pleased. Le he dicho que desde luego que hay un camino por ir, que esta semana empiece con las terapias y etcétera, que todavía quedan muchas cosas por superar, pero por lo menos la operación tan difícil que en la cabeza durante 8 horas, que allá puede ir muchas cosas mal, desde luego, a lo mejor te despiertas y no puedes hablar ni andar ni tal. Todo ha ido bien, que de momento no tengo secuelas, y con esto estoy muy contento. Y como he dicho, que ya muchos días tengo que hablar de esto, ya no voy a hablar más de la enfermedad, porque no me gusta hablar tanto de esta enfermedad tan mala siempre, pero pronto estaré con mis músicos y con todos ustedes nuevamente haciendo música, y muchas gracias. Y ahora voy a escuchar a mi amigo Johan, a ver lo que cuenta y lo que contáis vosotros. Muchas gracias.
Yes, Henry and I, we go back a long time. We met in 1983, and we became instant friends. And like I said earlier, Henry has performed all my major works in Spain and introduced them to the Spanish audience. And I'm still very grateful for that, Henry.
We are all grateful to play your music in Spain. I think it opens a lot of doors and a lot of windows for a lot of bands and new repertoire. So thanks to you.
Bueno, están comentando y recordando cómo se conocieron, y también la manera, ¿no?, de su introducción también de su música en España. Se conocieron, creo que ha dicho, a principios de los 80, se hicieron buenos amigos enseguida, y la verdad es que sus obras han sido introducidas en España gracias también al trabajo del otro, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, es como que su carrera también va, aparte de la amistad, su carrera profesional también va un poco ligada entre los dos.
So, I told you earlier that last year, since 13 months now, the only thing I can do is writing music. So no conducting, no traveling. But I started a Spanish course, learning Spanish. And so I start to understand more and more, but I still find it very difficult to speak. Okay. You know, to make full sentences. And conozco muchas palabras, pero full sentence. Oh, there it goes. Full sentences, you know, that's still very difficult. I need to train much more, but I think I should come to Spain and then just speak with people. That's the best way, and read newspapers and watch television. I'm watching a lot of Spanish series now on television, like El Casa de Papel.
La Casa de Papel, okay.
And Vivir sin Permiso.
Yeah.
I love very much. It was very good, you know,
really?
in Basque. And that helps. It's and Monarca, I saw, that's a Mexican series, very gripping. But they speak so fast, I can hardly understand. But here and there I pick up one or two words. So, but I'll keep studying, I promise. So la próxima vez espero que hablo mejor.
Bueno, nos comenta que debido a la pandemia obviamente no puede ni viajar tanto ni dirigir tanto. Básicamente su trabajo se ha centrado más en componer, pero bueno, nos ha enseñado también el libro de español, ya nivel 2, he visto nivel 2, o sea que la cosa va mejorando. Dice que ha entendido muchas de las cosas que hemos dicho, no todo obviamente, pero bueno, que está mejorando su español a través de las series españolas. Ha comentado que ha visto La Casa de Papel y Vivir sin Permiso, pero que claro que al final pues para practicar más español pues lo ideal sería venir a España. Nosotros encantados, si quieres venir a la Baidu Show, estás más que invitado.
So maybe it would be nice if we give the microphone to Bram Sneekers, my other Dutch friend. Maybe he has to say something, or maybe not, but I'm sure he has. He always
okay,
great stories.
If you have
Well,
time,
are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Hola. Cabrón.
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
Bien,
You look great. You look very healthy.
Thank you.
So, well, welcome to this chat. And if you have time, we have another question that somebody writes here. When composing for original band music, do you think as the clarinets and saxophones as substitutes for string instruments such as violins or viola, for example, or do you try to create a completely different acoustic?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, a wind instrument is not a string instrument. And when I make a transcription from orchestra to banda, I don't go first violin, first clarinet, second violin, second clarinet. No, it works completely different. I really try to approach each instrument for its own qualities. I mean, the same is for like a bassoon, bass clarinet, baritone saxophone. They are in the same register, but they are completely different instruments. So I write for each instrument different. You know, a lot of composers use the same notes for the low woodwinds, but I always try to treat the bassoon as what he can do. Especially in the high register. I've done some like in Casanova and in the Red Tower. I use the bassoon as a solo instrument and very specific to what he can sound. So the answer is no, I do not substitute the woodwinds with the strings, no.
La pregunta era si cuando él compone una obra original para banda, cree que instrumentos como por ejemplo los clarinetes o los saxos son como los sustitutos naturales de instrumentos como violines o violas, o lo que intenta crear es algo totalmente diferente, y nos dice que sí, que efectivamente lo que hace es algo diferente porque son instrumentos con una acústica diferente, es decir, él no transcribe como si dijéramos literalmente y piensa que el primer violín es el primer clarinete, sino que intenta aproximarse a cada instrumento por las cualidades que tiene y por su registro. Así que la respuesta es que no, que él piensa en algo totalmente diferente y en crear de cero.
But I must say, because of the Spanish bands or the bands from Venezuela or Mexico, that I started to write cello parts. So not a substitute for euphonium, no, original cello parts. And of all the big works now, I have additional cello parts, and like in Lord of the Rings, Big Apple. But Symphony No. 3 has the cello in the score, and Symphony No. 5 as well. So, and I love the sound of the cello, because a cello group is so amazing to an additional foundation of the sound of a wind orchestra. And the cello mixes with all the other instruments, you know, with the double basses, the euphoniums, the saxophones, even the flutes. So I love the cello as an instrument, and also, of course, as a solo instrument. I wrote Casanova for cello solo.
Dice que debido a la influencia de las bandas en España y también en países como Venezuela o México, al principio no lo hacía, pero ahora sí que tiene un especial detalle también en incluir los chelos que en las bandas en estas zonas sí que se incluyen, ¿no? Y él también lo entiende, volviendo a la respuesta anterior, no como algo que traslade un poco lo que sería el papel de, por ejemplo, creo que ha dicho el bombardino, sino como un papel original, porque le gusta mucho la atmósfera que crea este instrumento dentro de las bandas de música como se entienden en España y en países de Sudamérica. Okay, our president is really happy now because she plays cello.
Okay. Muy bien. Good. Well, I think we had a wonderful meeting, and I'm so happy to see so many people are still here. But my sincere wish, of course, that we can all make music again as we used to, you know, with the full audience behind us and a full orchestra on stage. It will take another couple of months, I'm afraid, before we are back to normal. But I would really ask all the band members to do not give up, you know, there is hope. We will go back to normal, and please don't give up playing. That's what's happening in my country, in Holland. I hear from many conductors that it's very hard to keep the band motivated because they can't play, they can't rehearse, and a lot of people just give up. So my wish is, please do not give up your beautiful hobby. Keep playing in the band, and keep playing wherever you play, and make beautiful music. And I'm convinced that when we all come back, that we will play better, because we now went through such a difficult time, and I think we will be so passionate to make music again. So.
Bueno, nos agradece también la tarde que ha pasado con nosotros, y sobre todo nos anima a no perder la esperanza, en el sentido de que seguro que dentro de poco volvemos a la normalidad que conocíamos antes, o bastante parecida, y que entiende que puede haber un poco pues de... ahora no me sale en castellano, despago, un poco de decepción por la situación que tenemos ahora, que entiende que efectivamente es más difícil mantener la motivación, pues porque no se puede ensayar en condiciones, no se pueden hacer conciertos como nos gustaría, en nuestro caso las bandas valencianas, pues salir a la calle, que él tiene colegas en su país que le dicen lo mismo, que es difícil, pero que por favor no tiremos la toalla, ha venido a decirnos que sigamos y que al final seguro que con una afición tan bonita como esta, pues tiramos adelante.
I'm looking for, let's see, Bernstein. Yeah, there's a quote by Leonard Bernstein, which I think is very moving. He said that after the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and he said, this will be our reply to violence. And I'm just replacing the word violence by virus. So this will be our reply to virus or violence, to make music more intensely, more beautifully, more devotedly than ever before. That's what he said after John F. Kennedy was killed. And I feel the same. I think we realize how small we are as a human being, you know, and how relative everything is. So let's keep that in mind. When we come back, we will play with more passion and with more meaning. That's my final wish for today.
Ok, quiere despedirse de nosotros rememorando unas palabras que dijo Leonard Bernstein después del asesinato de Kennedy, que vino a decir algo así como que, bueno, después de ese episodio de violencia no había que caer pues en esa oscuridad, sino al contrario, volver pues como mucho más fuertes, y que él ahora tiene la sensación de que esto es un poco parecido con todo esto del virus, y que pues que tenemos que volver como mucho más apasionados y mucho más focalizados en eso. Él quiere tener esa esperanza, entiende que son como situaciones un poco parecidas y que tiene el mismo deseo. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I can maybe put it in the chat. Let's see. I don't know how this works. I have the quote, but I don't know how to send it. But
don't worry. We can understand.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, friends. I really hope you enjoyed my little seminar, and that I answered many questions. And again, I really hope to be back in Spain very soon, to be with you, to drink a good glass of wine, and to make beautiful music. And laugh and enjoy life. That's my hope.
Yeah. Que diu que ara que ahora tiene el deseo bueno, que ha pasado una tarde agradable con nosotros, que ha respondido muchas preguntas, que a él también le ha parecido interesante, y que ahora pues tiene el deseo de algún día poder venir a España, beber un buen vino y hablar y reír, que al final es eso. I have some words from our president that I try to translate.
Okay.
She said that this strange situation about the corona has some positive things, like the opportunity to meet people like you, or like your colleagues, like Bernie and Henry. So this is great for us, because maybe in a normal situation it would be impossible, but with this situation and technology it could be possible. So we are really, really thankful. Thank you for you.
Of course. Un placer.
Encantado. Carmina, no sé si estás escribiendo algo más o... Sí. Wait a moment, because she's writing anything more.
Okay. Is it in the chat or?
Well, and now you have some message in the chat. If you can
I can
read, you can see. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Thanks. Oh, some are in English, but I can read the Spanish. Reading is getting better. So.
Reading is good. Okay, perfect. So maybe it's not necessary I translate now.
No.
Read. Okay, perfect.
Entiendo todos.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your kind attention. I wish everybody good health and stay positive, and hasta muy pronto, espero. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Gracias. Un abrazo a todos. Chao, chao.